1 second. There I am. Okay, guys. Welcome to the live stream. Nope. Probably. Maybe. We'll see. Still says waiting. There we go. We're connected. Yeah. Okay, I am going to hook something up, and hopefully this doesn't go sideways again with the internet. Oh my god, my internet is annoying me. 1 second. Oh. Ow. Yeah, hit my head on my new mic. Yeah, it was good. I got the MKH sitting overhead here. You can actually just see it in frame just a little bit. Can't hear Dylan. 1 second.
Huh.
All right, he's coming through now.
Am I coming through now?
Yeah. Okay. Wow, what a start to this live stream. My God.
Amazing.
Jeez.
Jeez, love, what do you say?
The mic is all right. I actually hit the boom arm.
Oh, that's even worse though, because at least getting, if you get a 416 in the back of the head, it's kind of like getting hit with a baton. But a boom arm, man, it's like a battering ram to the back of the head.
Dan wants to know Jack 102.3.
Oh,
Dory,
might as well just leave that.
Nobody's just careful what you say this time, man.
Yeah, I'll just be too late now. Can't take it back.
We're gonna be awfully silent on that. Everyone can hear Dylan. Everything's good there.
That's funny.
Jack 102.3.
One of the constant issues with doing reviews on this computer that I'm live streaming with is the drivers are constantly shuffling around. The Arturia Mini Fuse 2, which I like to keep in standard, gets unplugged and replugged all the time, so you constantly have to refresh every program.
Lovely.
Hello, C. We're dropping again, man.
It's really trippy when I join the stream for the first second and it's like it's like what we said 15 seconds ago, and then like part of me wants to say, Aiden, you've already talked about that. Are you blowing a fuse? And I'm like, oh no, it's not you now. Yeah, it's confusing.
Yeah, I know. Confusing. Okay, so we're still dropping, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on with this, why we're dropping kilobits per second, but we are. I'm going to have to do like a deep clean on this computer and try to figure out what's, because there's no reason our internet should be, it doesn't drop for anything else. It's just this. This is the only thing it bloody well drops for, so I apologize for some drops in the stream. We might have a couple, but we're here. First, before we talk Rodecaster Pro Ii, which it depends on how much you want to believe the rumor mill. Well, the rumor mills are getting big for audio gear, man. Like with computer gear, rumor mills are like hardcore. Phones. There's a lot of rumor mill for phones. Now it's kind of moving towards gear, and it's kind of cool to see. But Rodecaster Pro kind of got outed, if you believe it. There's a lot of information on that we'll talk about that in just a few. But first, we have a question that we're going to address from somebody on Discord, and this is something that came through to us through one of the question answer videos, QA videos, which people seem to love.
That's good.
But there's absolutely no like searchability to the videos, so they like a certain portion of the viewership is watched by the people on the channel, and then it dies.
Dead.
So those QA videos, it'll be interesting going forward to see how they do. Okay, so here's a question. It comes from Midnight Wolf. I had him continue his question on Discord. He says, I posted my question for part 3 Q&A. To clarify, I hate using monitors. It trips me up. I finally gave in and got a stage monitor for my karaoke singers a couple months ago. I know that you want more of a flat response mix, no matter the type of monitoring, and understand the basics of it for my stage use of allowing the singer band to hear themselves back so they can stay in time and all that. I posted the video because I'm asking how I should monitor myself quite frequently. And even with my basic knowledge of doing it, I don't feel like I know enough to really tell them how to do it properly. So this is the one question that I'm definitely passing over to Dylan. Now,
I was gonna say I want to watch you try to tackle that.
I'm not horrible with live sound. I'm really not. Like live sound isn't something that I shy away from. Setting up monitors, though, I've never set up monitors. You've done a lot of this.
Yeah.
So hook me up. So take us through the process of setting monitors up for the best possible experience for both singers. And oh my God, 1 second.
Quality.
Start that over again, man. We dropped out again.
This is gonna get on my nerves.
Yeah. So start that all over again. That last 6 seconds.
I hadn't said much.
Okay.
What I was saying was, it's similar to in studio. You don't need perfect monitors for your talent, right? You don't need perfect. You need something that's going to sound good to them. In a live situation, you're going to be deafening them anyway. So, do you need really high? What you really look for with monitors is monitors that are electrically robust and physically robust. You want monitors because they're wedges, right? They get unless you got side fills, they're wedges. They're going to get kicked around. They're going to get literally stomped on. I've seen guys on stage literally jump on the monitor and stand on them. So you need to be physically robust. Also, monitors are going to be prone to feedback. So you want something that's electrically robust, something that you can blast with a decent amount of power and it's not going to break the cone, right? It's not going to melt the coil on it. So just general ruggedness you want. I would say also ideally something that's very directional if you can find it. That's not exactly a thing that's talked about with speakers, but because, in a band, you might have 3 guys front center stage. You might have your lead guitar singer, your rhythm guitar, and then your bass and backing vocals. And each one's going to have their own wedge, like 3 feet apart from each other. And they're all going to want their own mix.
Yeah.
Right? So,
absolutely.
So having the ability, lead singer's going to want to hear, as much of themselves as humanly possible. Bass is going to obviously want to hear a lot of bass. So yeah, having something that's more directional than your run-of-the-mill speaker is probably a good idea.
I've been in the wall of sound when you've got you're not only contending with the instruments, you're contending with the sound of the place you're in. Plus, on top of that, your amps are on stage directly behind you, feeding through a PA. So there's so many sources of sound coming out.
And especially if it's an outdoor venue, it's a little bit nicer because the sound just kind of bleeds away.
Goes away,
if you're in it just compounds on top of itself, and you get this mess of frequencies all over the place. The other thing I will say is when it comes to monitor size and chainability, as I'll call it, the ability to daisy chain. As much as I prefer not to, to get each person their own mix, but sometimes in a stage environment, depending on how many monitor mixes you have available to you, depending on where the patch points are, it sometimes can actually be more beneficial to chain the monitors together, which most of the time you can get away with, 2 or 3 without it putting too much of a load on your amplifier. What else? So that's stage situation. And then also in a bigger setting, you would have side fills, which are, as the name would suggest, speakers mounted on the side that just kind of back.
All right, we had a drop at cover the stage. The side fills cover the stage.
Yes, yeah. So they cover the stage so that if one of your talent moves out of their little monitor bubble, they're not completely out of whack. What's going on? Ideally, if you could have in-ear monitors for all of your talent, that would be great.
And that's the thing, in-ear monitors are not cheap. Good ones are
good monitors, like the ones that have 18 band drivers in them and shit. It's like, okay, all right.
It can be tough because they're hard to get used to at first. It'll take you a couple shows to get used to those in-ear monitors.
And really, unless you're in a massive stage where your talent's moving around a bunch, you really don't need. The drummer should have in-ear monitors. Ideally, I think every drummer should invest in a pair of in-ear monitors for themselves because it's really hard to get a good monitor mix and get a good level for a drummer. Now, thankfully, the drum mics on a drum kit The gain is not very high on them. So the odds of you getting feedback if your placement is good is not bad. But oftentimes you look at placing your wedge in the rejection zone of whatever the mic is.
Yeah.
And with a drum kit where you've got 24 mics, kind of hard to find a rejection zone, especially when you've got overheads.
Headphones for drummers work, right? You can give them a pair of headphones.
Headphones work. In-ear monitors are more ideal because they're better at rejecting crap coming from the rest of the stage. So when it comes to the mixer, though, and again, we're assuming that this is a low-budget setting where you don't have a monitor mixer, because in large arena and stadium tours, you actually have a dedicated board backstage in most cases, and a person there, and their only job is to get and maintain monitor mixes for your talent. So we're going to assume this is not that you are the FOH, or the front of house engineer, and you're doing everything. So you want to monitor, and I know this only because I've been in venues where this isn't always possible. You want to monitor through the PA. Like, you want to be, your mixing position ideally should be right in the middle, or maybe at the back of wherever your audience, your front of house is, right? If that's not possible, because not all venues, especially pubs, are the worst for that, where they often have you stashed somewhere beside the stage, and it's like, well, I can't hear it. So then get some good open back headphones. That's probably your best bet. You're not going to bring, studio monitors to a venue unless you've somehow managed to procure a control room. But yeah, ideally just get a pair of open back headphones. I would say even if your listening position is side stage or backstage, periodically, and I always do this, once you've gotten stuff good and things are, the band's not complaining, get up and walk around and listen. Ideally, and this is what I love about the Behringer X32, and this is also the case with the Midas M32. Behringer, there's many boards. I think even the PreSonus Studio Live boards have this capability where there's an app that you can just connect to via Wi-Fi, and then you can actually just make tweaks. When it comes to getting a monitor mix, obviously you've got to check each of your band members. It should be part of sound check, realistically, where you're going to be checking what their monitors, making sure, get the band to do a segment of a song, ideally the loudest segment. So get them to do like the loudest 10 seconds of any song in their set. Make sure everyone's got their good mix. In a perfect world, the Behringer X32 also has a monitor mix app that you can get your talent to install on their phones, and they can just set their own mix, which is really nice. But yeah, live sound is very stressful.
It's a moving target,
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. I like it. As stressful and chaotic, and oftentimes when you're doing live sound, especially at a bar, you're drinking, which adds an extra layer of difficulty.
Well, that's the original question was about karaoke.
Oh God!
When you're dealing with people that have never used
a microphone before,
a microphone or monitors or anything like that, they're not going to be able to understand it, because once again, alcohol's involved with most karaoke experiences. So just try to get it as loud as possible without peaking the microphone.
Yeah, ideally, a good tip that I would say is try to increase the ratio of space between your microphone and the talent, and your microphone and how far it is from the back of the PA.
Yeah.
Because that will directly impact how much headroom you have before you hit that feedback zone. Also, if this is your rig, and this is what you're doing a lot of karaoke shows, get a graphic EQ.
Oh, yeah.
Ideally, like a 31-band graphic EQ. And what you want to do is, before you start the gig, you want to look for resonant frequencies and just notch them out. Not completely, because that'll sound weird, but like look for resonant frequencies, do weird sweeps, crank a mic wide open, look for feedback zones, notch down those nasty frequencies, and harmonics, because those, if you find a frequency that's at like 80 hertz, like a big woofy rumble, and it's annoying, chances are 160, 380, those are all gonna resonate too. So there's some math involved in there. Also, you can sort of calculate, if you know the size of the venue, you can calculate what the resonances are going to be. We're not going to go there, but you can, just doing axial and tangential math. Oblique modes I don't worry about because the math is too complicated. But
beards and banjos, some novice singers only want to hear the music and not much of themselves, other than the opposite.
That is ideal. That is ideal.
Then you add alcohol onto it, and they don't know, they're kind of drunk, and
but
you gotta
like shit.
DJing that kind of stuff is rough because you also want to make sure the product for the people listening doesn't sound like cats dying. So,
You dropped out again.
yeah, I know we dropped out. God damn it. So
At
annoying.
least you know this time.
Well, no, I know. I've known every time. It's just I just wait. You're usually talking, so I'm like, oh no, we dropped out there.
You drop out that time.
Sean Webb, Rumbly, Woofy Rumble was my porn name. That would be a good porn
Woofy
name.
Rumble, yeah.
Woofy Rumble. Aiden is drinking.
To answer his past question there, he asked a question about stand-up comedy. I did once, and it was really as part of a larger thing. But I've done comedy, spoken word stuff. Stand-up comedy is a pain, especially the one time I did it. It was being recorded, so we had audience mics set up, and for the first half of the show, I forgot that the audience mics were piped through to the PA, so I kept getting feedback on what the fuck is that? Like I'd mute the talent's mic, and I'm still getting like what the fuck is this? And then I'm looking at the board, I'm like, oh, wrong bus, right. And the worst part is I was recording none of the audience mics for the whole first half, and it was only going through the PA. I'm like, God damn it, now it just sounds awkward.
Velvet, yay, made it for the stream. Welcome, Velvet. First stream.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna full disclosure. I was really good at keeping track of all of our people. I'm not so good at that now. Like, there's some names I'm like, I feel like I might have seen.
It's tough. Like, we're up to 20 viewers. We haven't even talked about Rodecaster Pro 2.
Like,
so
who the hell this Bangs Naughty Bits? Who the hell is this person? I've never seen this name here.
I do want to say, Sean says Aiden's drinking hard liquor tonight. I actually had the first beer in almost a year last night. I just haven't been drinking at all, and it's not because I don't want to. It's just I don't feel like it.
Yeah,
too full from dinner. But I gotta say, I went out for a bike ride, did 22K, came home.
Nice, holy shit.
And I'm thinking I might have a drink tonight. My legs are not working well. So okay.
Do you bike regularly, or was that your first time like in a while?
It was my 5th time this year. It's kind of hard to get. I do bike a lot, bike regularly, but this year's been really cold and crappy, so it's been hard. Hard getting out there for that. All right, so people are piling in and jumping out and piling in and jumping out. We're not talking about the actual thing that people are coming here for. And I was going to say,
where is it? The whole first half on
yeah.
Was that Midnight Wolf that asked that question?
Yes.
I hope they actually get to go back and see.
I'll message Midnight Wolf and tell them it's on here. So we need to talk about Rodecaster Pro 2. So the original Rodecaster Pro had some issues, and don't point them out to people who love Rodecaster Pros. Because they get really angry. I actually started getting hate today because way back at the beginning of this channel, I did a video on the I did a video on that, and one of the reasons I returned it is because you couldn't actually. Where did you lose me at?
No idea. It just dropped down there, and then I was too distracted by going, I'm going to make a funny face when he comes back.
Nice. So I had a video about the 55SH, and the idea of why I was returning is because you couldn't attach it to the boom and get the XLR in because of that little spot, and I didn't want to spend an extra $30 on getting an extension or anything like that. So I thought that was kind of stupid. I get it's a stage mic, but I do know a lot of people that like to use that kind of stuff for podcasting and all this stuff. People still drop hate on that video. One guy went a little, he was like, you're not telling the truth and you're just being mean about stuff. And my Rodecaster Pro video has quieted down. So there is that. Now, of the things that needed to be fixed, what do you think would be the worst thing that needed to be fixed about the original Rodecaster Pro, Dylan?
I've never used it, so I'm literally just going by what we've talked about.
The gain was garbage. The gain was absolutely trash.
Was it really?
Yeah. It was, I think it was 55 dB of.
Again, to be honest, we have barely talked about the HCP in forever. So
it's the only time we do is we just kind of crap on it. Liberty Dude here, the V2 has neg 131.5 dB UEIN. I've got it up here. So this is from Sterling Clear Online. Liberty
Dude, you fucked up. You missed ZipFizz.
Yeah, I'm sure he went back and watched it.
Probably.
So I'm gonna put this up here. I I guess I could put it up on the stream, right? Let's
Probably.
New source.
I hate this thing that Arturia is doing now, where they've got their console. They're using console font on their website, like just nerd font, and I'm like, don't do that. They're using like Lucida console or some shit.
Is that? There it is. All right. Here we go. Let's expand that screen just a little bit, move it over a bit.
Expand it.
So this is the next generation of Rodecaster Pro podcast production mixer. This is by Sterling Clear Online, and I don't know these guys at all. Apparently, they had their exclusive Clubhouse conversation with Ryan Burke from Rode. I don't know how much I put behind the Ryan Burke from Rode, or how much I put behind them having somebody from Rode on to talk about it, because Rode wouldn't have given the green light for that. And if he's actually saying his name on Clubhouse, that's online. All right. And we're back. Dylan.
Yeah, there you are. you dropped out after they take stuff pretty seriously.
What's that?
Where you stopped for me was they take stuff pretty seriously, and then like literally the next word it was silence. So.
Yeah, I heard silence, and I'm like, oh no, everything's gone. It's OBS. I just figured it out. It's OBS dropping all the frames.
Why?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to probably update. I've got OBS 27.1.3.
Or maybe like uninstall it and reinstall it or something.
You can update it pretty easily. I'm gonna have to do it after the stream. We'll see if that works.
Fingers crossed.
Of the new features for this mixer, big one is preamps have neg 131.5 dB EIN, 76 dB of really clean gain. That is impressive.
RCG, really clean gain. It's an industry term.
I think this is going to also cause an interesting issue with price. 76 dB gain at neg 131.5 dBV is going to be expensive. On top of that, they also have 4 ultra high quality Neutrik combo inputs. So you're going to be able to actually plug instruments into this, which is one of the big things people asked about for the original Rodecaster Pro. So I'm going to be curious to see if any of this comes true. I really want to know, like, this is 9 individually assignable channels for creating personalized mixer configurations with 6 broadcast quality physical faders and 3 virtual faders. That's kind of cool. Dual USB interfaces for connecting 2 computers and or mobile devices simultaneously.
That's kind of nuts.
That is nuts.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
Tactile rotary encoder for easy navigation, precise control. Power via an included USB-C 30-watt PD adapter. Ethernet connectivity. Dylan.
Yeah.
What's the Ethernet connectivity for?
ADAT, probably. Or not, what am I saying? Not ADAT. I mean,
ADAT on a Rodecaster Pro would be stupid.
But like, ADAT would be Toslink. It would be, well, and also, like, how many channels is the Rodecaster?
4 XLR inputs, 4 combo jacks on the back. But you also have 2 1/4-inch left to right. So
yeah, unless it was an ADAT input, it really wouldn't make sense. But Ethernet really, I mean, it's a connector, right? I mean, it's an RJ45. So, it could be anything. It could be a control point. It could be to link multiple RCP2s together. It could be like there's so many things now that RJ45s are useful for.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it, and it doesn't say internet connectivity by the slot, by the RJ45.
My control surfaces use Cat7 Ethernet cables. Like everything nowadays seems to use Ethernet for RJ45 connectors, UTP cables for something. So I'd be interested to see what RCP or what Rode uses that shit for.
So they're saying it's reasonable to assume it could be sold for $799 to $849 in the US.
Ooh, also, sorry, I'm still on the Ethernet.
No, that's cool.
It could be used for AES67. Could be Livewire. Maybe the interface is Livewire enabled, so you could hook it up to like a WheatNet network or something. Now, that would be insane. I'm a little bit. Yeah, I don't think that's the reason, but that could be something.
I'm really curious about all of this. Like, if they did this and they're releasing it for roughly the same price as Rodecaster 1, the Rodecaster Pro. I also don't know what to think about these releases, because you know what people love to do is they love to drum up publicity for themselves.
Always.
And switch around, just to get people talking about it, and you can make money on that. You can sell ad space on that. So I'm going to be kind of curious to see when it does come out. Rode did contact me and asked me if I wanted one. They didn't tell me what it was. They just said, hey, we've got the biggest release ever for Rode. Do you want to get in on it? I'm like, yes, send me one. Everything I've read has been touting the app, so it might just be to get app support.
Yeah, it might just be to hook it up to a network and then...
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully it would have 802.11 support, like Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's it. Bangs puts up a good point. Inflation of 20 to 30% is not unexpected for hardware right now.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm really curious what this is going to be and what this is going to mean for a lot of people. A lot of Rodecaster Pro first gen people, is it worth the upgrade? And I think that's going to be the question on everyone's mind. Is it worth the upgrade from the Rodecaster Pro?
Yeah.
From the sounds of it, yes. I mean, you're getting a completely... If you can believe these rumors, it's a completely different beast now. Like, just the preamps alone. The amount of... That's more gain than I get out of my Arturia Fuse Studio, which was, at the time, a $900 interface, US. So... Would that replace my Arturia? I mean, think about that. It's 4-in. The Arturia has a lot more functionality to it than... Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what the RCP2 is like. And then maybe they're trying to give a company like Arturia a run for their money.
Well, they're going to absolutely destroy the Mixcast 4. The Mixcast 4 has no chance against that. Watch them release it 16-bit
Mixcast. That was Tascam, right?
Yeah, Tascam Mixcast. Watch them release it 16-bit 44.1. All of that, and it's 16-bit, guys. Sorry.
No, we're all about that 12-bit. That's the new hipster craze.
Bangs brings up a good point. EIN of neg 131.5 dBu is crazy for pro hardware. I'm not believing that. I have a hard time believing that as well. I've got... neg 130 on my Arturia AudioFuse Studio, and once again, that was almost $1,000 interface. It's really hard to see them releasing something with those kind of numbers without having a decent increase on the price of this thing over the first one. If you can, like, I believe the first one was $799 US. It's $699 US. So that would be actually a decent increase. You okay? You searching something? Are you working?
No, I'm searching for specs. For once today, no, I'm not working.
Yeah, physics dictates a limit of neg 133 dB no matter what you do.
That's Johnson noise. It's pretty... It literally cannot physically get below that unless you're at absolute zero. There are some
things that have hit neg 131. There are some units that have. I would be really interested to see Julian Kraus take a run at this.
What the hell was that?
Julian Kraus.
Kraus.
RSCP2 has assignable faders, not preset, and audio routing. And I love how like all of the conversation around Rodecaster Pro 2 is now, yes, it is the Rodecaster Pro 2 that they're releasing, which they haven't confirmed except for some interview from a guy that's from Rode, which Rode would not have any part of. Like that, that doesn't, under no circumstances would like Ryan go, yeah, this is my full name and I'm going to tell you all the information that I have an NDA on. Fired and sued.
Yeah.
The amount that Rode would sue them into another dimension for that. Like you would be screwed for dropping secrets like that. So I'm not necessarily jumping on the bandwagon that it's even the Rodecaster Pro 2 that's coming out. Rode has said nothing.
Yeah.
They made a joke about the post on Twitter. That's about it. Can you unpack that for me, Bangs? Physics. Sean wants to have the limit of neg 133 dBu limit unpacked.
Okay, so everything that is not at absolute zero Kelvin, neg 273-ish degrees Celsius, is moving, right? Everything is moving. There's jiggling happening on a molecular level, and that jiggling makes noise. And essentially, we call that noise Johnson noise. Johnson noise or thermal noise, which technically, if you're at a colder temperature, substantially colder than room temperature, it would be a little bit less. Not like a ton less, but yeah, that's my electrical engineering interpretation of that.
Liberty Dude says Rode would. I'm not sure. Do you mean Rode would sue them or Rode would announce it like that? I'm pretty sure, like, it's nice to have rumor mills going. Apple lives on rumor mills. And Apple, in fact, owns some of those rumor mills and has turned rumor mill logic into something that's actually benefited them in the past because they get a lot of their R&D out of rumor mills. They know what people want. They know what people are looking for in the next gen of stuff and all that. So Apple has used that beautifully. Google does the same thing with their phones. Google has the same kind of approach with that stuff. Does Rode? I don't think so. What they're calling their biggest release ever, it would be interesting to see if they would go that route of just like, okay, leak that, Ryan. You go ahead.
That would be an interesting approach because, let's be honest, consumers love leaks. We love stuff that's leaked. We have something that's leaked, we'll talk about it more than stuff that's not leaked.
Absolutely. It gets buzz.
So, as a company, that would actually be pretty genius if that is
Apple
in fact
does
what's
it.
happening.
Apple does it already. Like Apple, the leaks that come from Apple, Samsung does it a bit. You see the leaked, like, look, this is the phone.
Look, this is the phone.
Well, you get the pictures of the phone 4 months before the phone is done. Though that's the phone company doing it.
Yep.
Nobody's losing their head over it because a lot of those things are planned releases because 4 months prior to finishing the product, remember the Sonic teeth?
Oh yeah.
That is the exact reason a lot of these leaks happen early is so, oh shit, those teeth are not going to be good. Let's release it, find out.
Yeah.
Same thing with phones. Oh God, that camera bump. Okay, we're going to work on that. Maybe it's not going to look like that. There's a ton of reasons to have leaks happen at your company. Rode, I don't think if Rode is that close to...
It's like the new age version of beta testing, really.
Kind of, but not from a physical standpoint, but from a visual, yeah.
Yeah, from an aesthetic standpoint.
The first leak was a mistake at vendor website. Yeah, okay, so did they send somebody on to a room interview because it leaked on a vendor website? That's where I'm getting at this. That's where I'm like... everything isn't quite adding up to that. No, I could be wrong and everything happened as they said. It does seem to be rather ridiculous that all of this happened all at once. Rode would announce this way, Liberty Dude says. I guess
Wouldn't
so.
surprise me. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
To have it that seemingly uncontrolled in a... what gets me is the Clubhouse conversation that's cementing all of this. Rode wouldn't have done a Clubhouse conversation to cement it all. Rode would have done something bigger, I'm guessing, to get in front of it. Or if they plan to, just throw a little bit out on a Clubhouse conversation, run away, and then wait for everybody to talk about it. Yeah, the Rodecaster series. We all know that there's going to be another Rodecaster Pro. They've upgraded the Rodecaster Pro to the point where it can't be upgraded anymore without hardware changes happening, right? That's the big thing. So we all knew that there was going to be Rodecaster Pro 2. They've already done the wireless Go 2, the, what's the other Go, the camera mic Go. They're going to be doing, or the Rode Video Mic Go 2. So Rodecaster Pro 2 is obviously going to happen. And yeah, we're all going to see in about a week. I don't know when I'm getting mine, whatever it is that they're sending me, but I'm looking forward to it. That's the other question, though, is how do you frame that video? How do you, like, is it better? How is it better than the first? Is it a side-by-side? Is it just a straight-up review? I don't know if I want to go side-by-side with the original Rodecaster Pro.
No, I mean, I think the highlights are like, the top 5 best differences, unless there's more than 5 amazing things about it, which would be great. But
from the drop test. Banks
with both of them,
yeah.
side by side.
See which one lives. Yeah.
See which one weighs more, falls first.
They are aluminum, so they'll take the hit, but I don't know, man. Something's gonna jig loose.
Oh yeah. Some shitty cold solder joint's gonna come unpopped.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how all of this is going to kind of unfold. And like I said, I'm just being skeptical because
that's what we do.
It's also like I've always been skeptical of leaks for good reason. From the computer sphere.
There's by definition, there's nothing official about it. So like the whole thing could be like, man, it'll bake you breakfast.
Yeah, and like Bangs is right, or I forget who brought up like the neg 131.5 dBu. That's pretty intense for a Rodecaster Pro. However, they're also not necessarily just looking at podcasters anymore. You've got musicians in line. You've got a pretty sweet-ass mixer. Think about this. This Rodecaster Pro absolutely buries the entry-level PreSonus lineup of boards.
Well, yeah, but most entry-level lineups of boards are shite. But they're not exactly charging an entry-level price for this product.
No, but for the usability even. And the price, okay, so let's say you take PreSonus and you level them up beyond the $400 starting point for the AR series. The only way you go up is with more channels. So the AR12, the AR16, you've got to go to the next series before you level it up. Right? This thing destroys the AR series for PreSonus, which isn't horrible. The AR series is actually quite nice. Drop test in a vacuum tube. Boom. Ethernet for remote studio use? Yeah, it could be. In fact, that's a very smart way of doing it.
I was going to say, like right now, if you were to Google like the one model that comes to mind from, once you get out of the Studio Live I don't even know if the AR series are called Studio Live anymore. They used to be like the entry level, but if you look up like the PreSonus Studio Live AI as an example, I would be very impressed if the Rodecaster, and I've used the Studio Live AI before, if it comes close to that.
What is the Studio Live AI?
It's a 24 channel.
But that's a problem. That's a completely different category of product. We're talking about a relatively high-end 4-channel mixer, basically, 4 input mixer with 4 XLR input mixer. That's the best way to put it, because God only knows with all the inputs and all that stuff.
I just sent you a picture in Discord of that.
All right, I'm looking. Holy crap.
I don't think it's going to be... Oh, man, I'm looking at the back of the son of a bitch. This is the back of it.
Bangs is right. It's all hype until we see trusted hands-on. Remember the 100%. Shilling? And that was what killed me with the original RCP. It was nice. It was great. It was a breath of fresh air. It was something you didn't expect from a company like Rode, but it wasn't perfect. And everybody treated it like it was the second hand of God. I mean, it's not that great. It's okay. It wasn't great for its price, though. I still don't own a Rodecaster Pro for the very reason that the price never was reflected in the product. Outside of the aesthetic, the aesthetic was gorgeous, but it still didn't justify. It was almost $1,000 in Canada, man.
Yeah, which at that point, like just get an Arturia audio fuse, which is substantially more applicable for like virtually a similar.
Oh, but you couldn't get phone calls and it didn't have sound pads.
You could get phone calls. You just couldn't do a mix minus, you whiny bastards.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. But sound pads also, you could always use your phone or an iPad and patch that through.
You don't need that. Yeah.
Anyways, Studio AI, the one with Haley Joel Osment. I have no idea. Can you ask stupid things, Mr. Eggcake? Mr. Eggcake, if you want to ask stupid things, sure, man.
Go for it. Care. We like stupid things because they're easy to answer. As soon as you started getting into Midnight Wolf's question, I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to script this one out, aren't I?
That's one of the reasons I didn't put that for the video coming up this week is because one, I'd have to get you to do the video. And
that's what we should do. Occasionally for those questions, you should have me do like a little cut in if there's like a stupid or like a complicated.
Well, I was going to, but then I also know you're busy as fuck, right?
Oh yeah, if you'd hit me up like, hey, can you you got like 2 days? Can you? I'd be like,
well, that's the thing. I do the video, so I capture all the questions usually Sunday. I write the script and I shoot it Monday morning.
Yeah.
And then I have it because I have to have it done by end of day Monday, so it can go up because Tuesday and Wednesday I'm teaching and I'm not home.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that's the problem. So I told if anyone has a question for Dylan on the weekly Q&A. Give it 2 weeks.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
So this has to compete against the P4 on the lower end.
Okay, you keep talking about that. I need another drink.
A P4 competing against the P4. I think Bangs is trolling here. I'm not caught up here. The use case is the ease of remote recording. Uses a streamer box. Ooh, that's a good idea. Rode rocked it this time. You know what? And Rode is one of those companies that learns from their mistakes. The biggest, and I know a lot of people disagree with me. The biggest fallback on the original Rodecaster Pro were the included drivers. The drivers were third party. The multi-track drivers, by the way, the ASIO drivers, they were third party, and that was a big swing and a miss by Rode. And leave it to Rode. They got enough complaint. I actually lodged my complaint with Rode. I actually messaged them and said, this is garbage. And to Rode's credit, they released their own drivers for it. And the drivers work. And they're not those ASIO for all or ASIO for all drivers. They were actually decent drivers. So Rode is always learning from their mistakes and they're building on their product. They upgrade, constant upgrades on stuff. Rode is one of the best companies at trying to meet the need of everybody. I won't bring up the pod mic, but they do try to actually release decent products that are also kind of, in a way, they're the cheap boutique company. And I think that's kind of what they're laying into with any Rodecaster Pro 2 is going to be. It's like a boutique thing. You can get the headphones, you can get the microphone, you can basically equip a whole studio with Rode.
The way I think of pro audio companies is they're either good with the front end or they're good with the back end. Rode has always been a front end company. They make microphones. That's what they do. So whenever they and same thing with like SSL counterpart. SSL is back end. Same with Universal Audio. Although all these companies now are starting to jump outside their comfort zones, and it's kind of pissing me off.
Yeah, but as long as they're doing a decent job of it, I'm happy.
As long as they're doing a decent job. Shure has yet to really dive. I mean, funny, when Shure started as a company, they used to be kind of in back end. Like they had some processors and stuff. Like I have a Shure turntable preamp, vintage, Shure Brothers Inc. on it. Nice. It says, and it works. It's amazing. I love that little thing. But all these companies usually settle into I would be surprised if SSL ever made a microphone. That would really surprise me because that's just not their niche. Now I think some of these companies get greedy and they see how much some of the other companies make on the other side of the fence and go, well, shit, we could do that.
Yeah.
And then you get weird stuff like Rode with the RCP, which considering that's not their forte, they did a pretty good job. I will say that.
Rode has surprised me twice now. Rodecaster Pro surprised me. And this is, they put research and development into the Rodecaster Pro. They did their homework. They saw the flood of podcasters coming and they're like, fuck it. Let's just give them something that everybody's going to want. And they did that. They got the placement on WandaVision. They made sure that Rodecaster Pro was the one thing you needed to get as a podcaster, which is stupid. You don't. You can do it with any interface without spending the money. But no. Rodecaster Pro and 4 pod mics and you're set, man.
Well, I think the other thing too is Rode did a really good job as far as marketing with the RCP. Is because they gave the Rodecaster Pro prestige status before it had really been like the RCP in the podcast community was the symbol of success, kind of like the SM7. But the difference between the SM7 graphic and the Rodecaster Pro is the SM7 had to be in use for like 30 years before anyone really started to give a shit about it, at least from an art standpoint. And whereas the RCP almost immediately, because of the marketing campaigns around it, it was like this thing that you had to have. And it's like,
well, and they appealed to the average consumer that had no concept of using audio. They made it easy for you. Big old dummy buttons with RAC on them.
Big old dummy. Oh man, you're gonna make enemies.
But it's true. Like they basically made a colorful, flashy toy that did stuff when you press buttons. It was fun and it was awesome and it was well marketed. The problem is, and this is the one thing somebody brought up. Where is it? Is it stuffed or DSP? The original was, well, not stuffed. It had a little bit of DSP. It had the compression. It had the de-esser. It had the big boom, or I forget what they call it. They had all that
big
stuff.
Broadcast voice.
I hated that stuff because 90% of the people that used it didn't know what they were doing and they just sounded super harsh, including a few YouTubers that I love to follow, where I just kind of want to like drop them a line and say, could you just cut back on a little bit? You sound... Whoa.
The question I have is those settings for like a de-esser, compressor, EQ, all of that, were they adjustable?
Not at first. At first, it was horrible. It was like a one-button approach. But then they rolled out, I think it was 2.0 or 2.1, that they made it adjustable. And it was better. You had like sliders. Like it wasn't... the compression, you couldn't set the threshold. I don't believe you could. But eventually, it did build up to a point where it was usable. The problem I found is most people don't know how to use it. So they just like the one-button approach. Yeah. And it's just like a really oversaturated voice.
To any, rate. I mean, we've often talked in the radio production industry about how even for the same voice, we have multiple presets that we've developed and set up. Yep. And like if they're sick, I've got to completely. So the idea of like not being able to adjust, like having a starting point's cool, but then not being able to go back in after and like tweak it super finely, I'd be like, oh, that would annoy me.
Yeah. Oh, and it's meant for the average user that doesn't want to learn how to run an 1176, right? They just want to push a button.
Oh, look at this guy dropping his model numbers all over the place over here. 1176. Oh, man, big guy.
By the way, Sean, it's a pot leaf inside a four-leaf clover, if you're wondering.
What?
What's it on my T-shirt? I hate to say it, but Rode timed it lucky with the pandemic hit. They were out a bit before. Like, they've been out since 2018.
Jesus.
They just, I believe it's 2018 or 2019. No, I believe it's 2018. I think. Anyways, you could be right. Good answer. The RCP changed the podcast world. Bluetooth connection, sound effects, quality preamps, onboard recording. They did. Backyard politics, thanks. They did actually. They changed a lot in regards to the accessibility of setting this stuff up. A good friend of mine, a guy that works within the radio industry here, Milkman, John
Milky.
I went over to his house and he was running his podcast through an H6. He got phone calls through there, had a phone hooked up to it. It had all that. He had his iPad set up.
The H6 is amazing. That is an amazing little machine.
He had an iPad set up for using sound effects and stuff like that, intros, and he did everything live with that, and it was perfect. There was no problem with it.
For less than half the price of the Rodecaster
Pro.
Right.
And that's the thing that, like, it took that out of it, though. You didn't have to worry about hooking it up and figuring it out. Does it work? It just works with the Rodecaster Pro. It just didn't sound that great with certain microphones. The shampoo that tingles. I'm not sure.
The
Zoom
Big
H6. Bottom.
I saw
Zoom H6.
Phenomenal little.
You know what they're saying? A beginner shouldn't just go cheap. Some microphones and gear just aren't forgiving for rookie mistakes. Train wheels. Yeah, and you know what? I don't necessarily disagree with the idea of like going cheap. However, I don't also think that companies setting trends and companies ruling your pocketbook is a bad thing. Especially when reviewers are like, guys, this isn't the best thing that you might want to be spending your money on. There are other ways to do this for cheaper. And then we get dog shit thrown at us for saying it.
I would say don't skimp out on the mic. Don't skimp out on your cables either, because if you're a noob, you're not going to know how to treat gear properly. It's a fact. So you get shitty cables, they're not going to be as robust. And then you're going to get all kinds of issues. You're going to go, what the hell's broken? And it's cable. You fucked up the cable.
Yeah. But you know what? It's also a fine line of rookies shouldn't be buying the cheapest thing. But then also, if you can get the same, a good example were the microphone bundle kits, where they had, the interface, which was really good, and then they had some cheap mic and cheap headphones.
And shitty headphones.
Sure, you
like
can
those
just
M-Audio job.
Just get going with it, but you could also just go buy an SM58 instead with a pair of decent, really cheap, decent headphones.
Get the Shure SRH 440s. They are cheap and they sound phenomenal for what they are.
So, you don't have to go with the cheapest, but at the same time, you also don't have to buy the most expensive just because it has pretty buttons.
No. No, I think, too, there's some stuff that absolutely, like, for example, DAW, get Audacity, right? Or get Pro Tools first.
Yeah.
Like, they're free. Those things you can skimp out on because they're digital. You can get decent quality results, especially for something like a podcast. Like, I'm sorry, if you can't make a podcast sound good with stock plugins, there's something wrong with your ears. But I'm gonna say a really cringeworthy thing there. But
backyard politics. Rode made it simple. People like simple. It's true, but Rode also sold you a product that gave you certain things that weren't the best for everybody, right? So, and that's also crossing over with what I was saying earlier. Rode is also the type of company that wants to fix that. Rode didn't try to gouge people. Rode came up with a great product, a great concept that everybody else has tried to mimic. Tascam Mixcast 4 tried to mimic the Rodecaster Pro and do it better. And in the small period of time that Tascam was operating on with the Mixcast 4, they actually did do a better job. So it'll be interesting to see coming forward with the Rodecaster Pro 2, if that is in fact what's coming. Liberty Dude, the based on the half the price was that you'd have the iPad or a phone that you can run little buttons off of. Because you can do the same thing with a phone too. You can put up a touchpad for anything. So yes, the half price is the H6. Pot leaf in a clover, so that's why you haven't been drinking lately. Oh wait, that's me. No, I just do I do a little bit of oil. That's about it. I don't smoke that often.
I just spaced out. What the fuck are we talking about now?
It's on my shirt, man. It's a pot leaf and a 4-leaf clover. Jeez.
You're on the friggin'. I can't see you. My camera's not on Discord. I can't tell what the hell you're doing. Plus,
what Mike's Triton the Lion wants to know what mics we're using. Triton, I'm using an MKH 416, which is a shotgun microphone, which is just above my head. Here it is. You can see that. That is my. Oh man, now it's gotta. I gotta get a decent C stand for mic placement.
Yep, not a bad idea.
And you're using the RE20, yeah.
Yep, stole a RE20 without the bell end on it this time.
Beresford, like I said before, my entire audio setup costs €100. Damn.
Pretty good. It's pretty good. I will say, Dimebag Darren, yes, Reaper. If you can spend money on a DAW, if there's money left in your budget to get a DAW, Reaper. You cannot beat the value proposition. There are people going from Pro Tools, which is a $600 DAW minimum, over to Reaper because Reaper is now being considered sort of a replacement. In fact, I've thought more recently of getting a copy of Reaper myself just as a backup.
If Glenn Fricker can use it, I'm sorry.
Oh, there's lots of I know guys that are in cinema. Like, I have this one friend that does that he does film score stuff. And he's friends with Hans Zimmer.
Nice.
Who's the guy that does like Pirates of the Caribbean. And he uses Reaper to do film scores.
Because a DAW doesn't affect anything. A DAW is literally just the kind of the groundwork to do your job in. Like, what is that sound?
That's me pressing 9.
Oh, okay. DAWs don't impact the quality of your product.
No, not necessarily. Now they can make getting good quality product easier.
Yes, absolutely. They flow is a big thing. I don't think Audacity has a good flow. I hate the flow of Audacity.
Oh, I hate it too. Hey, if it works for you, awesome. That's amazing. I am proud of you.
I love the flow of Adobe Audition, but it doesn't do shit for music.
I'm gonna have to go very soon, FYI.
Okay, I've got to go soon too. So let's just get through some of these. We don't see each other. I see Dylan. Dylan doesn't see me, in case you're wondering. Just because I have one camera and that camera is going through.
Yeah, Windows doesn't like sharing camera feeds between apps.
I could technically set up a second camera here for you and put it through Discord, but
kind of pointless. I think.
Also, if you do radio at all, you learn how to do this kind of stuff without seeing each other. So.
Yeah, you're kind of used to it. Yeah.
Dylan Bangs wants to know if you've looked at the new version of Audacity. I'll let you to that.
I don't know. I've not. I have Audacity installed because I do use it for a few things here and there, but I haven't updated it in a month or so. So I'll have to check that out.
Well, we'll find out, guys. If I'm
literally checking for updates right now.
Once I get the package from Rode, I won't be able to tell you anything before whatever release date they have. However, I'm going to try to get the video out on release day if I can. If the package comes from Australia, just keep that in mind. If I'm running a little bit late on the video, it's because the package comes from Australia. And I'm hoping they release it on a Monday. That would be awfully nice of them. So I'll let you know as soon as I know. And yeah, have yourself a great rest of your weekend, guys. Thanks for joining us.